All right. You guys want to start by introducing yourselves?
Hi, I'm Justo Eiroa.
And I'm Pete Hernandez.
Perfect. So, what do you do, Justo?
I'm, let's see, what do? I visit stores. I get to smoke and drink for a living. I'm very fortunate that I represent some of the top tier brands in the industry.
Yes.
And I'd like to start with the Eiroa brand. This is what we're featuring today. And we've got 4 different lines. And
Hey,
let me introduce.
it's the Aladino brand.
It's the Aladino brand. And let me introduce Justo Eiroa.
Nice.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for having us over.
Yeah.
Real pleasure.
What's the odds we get 2 Justos at the same time?
What are the odds?
Well, I told you I was going to say this, so I need to get this out of the way first. Pete Hernandez, you're a rep here in in Florida.
Right.
And just want you to know that of all the reps
Oh, come on, stop.
in all of Florida,
Oh, I appreciate it.
you
He's
are
in
one
the
of
top
them.
3. He's the
You
top 3.
are one of them.
I'm one of them. Stop. You say that to all the guys.
No, you gave that shit to me, and I told you I was going to use it on you.
all
So,
right.
but it's funny because now you got a mic in front of you and the camera. You seem a little nervous. You a little nervous right
No,
now?
I'm actually pretty good.
Yeah, you feel
Pretty good,
comfortable?
He's done this before.
Yeah, I've done
Kissed
this
my ass a
before.
couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times, and I did my own radio show back in the day. I don't know if anyone knows that.
You
It was called,
did?
yes, it was called the Stogies and Sports Show.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, and the sports of it was more of a fluff thing. We kind of spoke about the fringe sports. I actually interviewed Butterbean.
No shit.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yeah. We did a lot of cool stuff.
How'd you get him on the show?
It was easy back then. I mean, Butterbean was kind of a flash in the pan for those of you who don't know who he is.
Right.
He knocked out a couple guys. He was just one in there. He was a big guy, and he mowed guys down. And kind of like the home run series. Everybody want to watch the home run. Everybody wants to watch a guy beat up another guy.
Man, I didn't know that
Now
about
they're
you.
comparing that new guy to him all the time now, too.
Which one?
There was a fight last week where a big guy the size of Butterbean beat somebody.
Right. I mean, good thing Butterbean's fights didn't go more than 2 rounds because I think he would have
He's
died on the
exhausted.
anyway.
Yeah, had a heart attack.
Yeah.
True. So what you got to tell us a little bit about yourself. Husa, how'd you get into the industry?
Well,
Let's start there.
I've always been in the industry.
Right.
My dad has been probably one of the pioneers in Central America after the Cuban embargo. As you well know, basically Tampa has always been the capital of cigar city in the United States,
Right.
and most of the raw materials were brought in from Cuba into Tampa,
Right.
And then all the manufacturers, manufactured, the cigars, and yeah, there you go, manufactured
You're
the
good, you
cigars. But when the embargo came, there was actually a need to start finding new sources of raw materials, and that's where Honduras, Nicaragua, and Dominican Republic really got their jump start. And my dad was one of the pioneers, taken by the Oliva family into Honduras to actually go and sort a crop that was already planted there in '62. And actually, that same farm that my dad did the sorting for him is the current farm that we have. So I would say it's probably one of the oldest farm operation in Central America.
And how many brothers do you have?
We have, from my dad's side, I have 2, a brother and a sister. From
Right.
my mom's side, I have a brother and a sister.
And you got one that's in the...
Absolutely, he was
Right.
always with my dad during the Camacho days. He was the face of the Camacho.
Which is Christian.
Christian, absolutely, yeah.
So is he older than you or younger than you?
No, he's younger than us.
So, growing up, how many times did you kick your brother's ass?
Nah, actually, it was very difficult to kick his
'Cause
ass.
that's what this
for
type
the
of
simple
podcast
reason,
is.
I was always in boarding school, and when I got back and started to work, he was in boarding school.
Right.
So, I went to boarding school since I was 10, 11 years old.
Was the boarding schools, did that happen because you guys were troublemakers?
Well, not because we were troublemakers. Remember, when we were in Honduras back in the 78 or 80, I
Right.
mean, it was, my dad always wanted, I went to Admiral Farragut over here in St. Pete, where
Okay.
I started to go to school. That's because my dad graduated there. My dad graduated in 54, and Neil Armstrong graduated in 53. And
shit.
they both played in the same baseball team.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah.
So my dad sent me there when I went to 5th grade.
No
And then from there on, I finished up in boarding school up in Canada. So my brother and I, there's a 6-year difference, so we were never able to cross paths, so I could kick his ass all the time. But him and I get along extremely well.
Okay. So you didn't get to kick his ass?
No.
I, on the other hand, kicked both of my brothers' asses for years and years. I whooped both their asses in the front yard on my knees, and tell it to their face. Well, tell it to Steven's face right now.
All right. Well, now it's documented.
But not anymore.
It's official.
No, we're friends now.
He's a lot bigger than you now.
Bro, yeah.
There comes a point, when like you were probably kicking his ass up until like 13 or 14,
Right.
and then he got bigger than you.
Yeah, they both got bigger than me.
And then you're like-
and then we became friends.
And you're like, hey, we're good now.
Why are we doing this, guys?
This is ridiculous.
This doesn't make sense.
So
This
sad.
doesn't make
We're
sense.
killing each
I'm
other.
losing
Right.
now all the time. This is ridiculous.
Right. So no, I never really. Well, yeah. It took one loss. That's what it took. One loss. You learn your lesson. Yeah.
So you decided to kind of branch out and get into your own cigar brand and industry just a couple of years ago, right?
Well, actually, as you know, my father had a non-compete, and
Right.
therefore he had to stay out of the industry.
Right.
And then my brother Christian was able to roll out and start his own brands, and we had to wait on the sidelines. And then when we were ready, basically we launched Aladino, Rancho Luna, and Tarascan, which are 3 lines, which are basically same old blends that we had in our Camacho days.
So, okay, so now my next question is going to be, how the fuck do you find a guy like Pete Hernandez?
Oh,
How's that happen?
Actually, there's in the industry there's I guess there's a group of great reps, which are kind of the old guard of the independent reps.
Right, and then there's Pete.
And actually,
He drives
Pete,
for
like
that.
he says, he's also legacy. He comes from a legacy, which was Paul,
Right.
which I never had the opportunity to meet.
Right.
But I was introduced to him by a great gentleman, which is Mike Perales,
Right.
from the Midwest. So that he helped me out.
You want to tell that story? Because it's a good story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Well, Mike calls me and tells me, listen, I need you to go see these guys, and I need you to take the line.
Right.
And, listen, my card's full. I
Take the line
I don't
means
know if
they
I-
want you to represent
They want
the
me to
brand.
represent the brand.
Okay.
And I said, I don't know. He goes, no, I want you to go meet with the guy and take the line. So I met with these guys, and I smoked the cigars, and then you hear he's a legacy, and you hear about his father and the tobacco they're growing, and there's no way you can walk away from that.
Right.
You rarely do you get an opportunity where you see the end game, where
Right.
you see just greatness, and the cigars are great, and the family is great. They've got a long history, so I was very proud from the beginning to work with them.
Right. Okay, cool. So, how's he doing as far as overall operations?
Well, Pete is doing great. He's got,
Yeah.
he's one of those guys that really breaks the
Make
ice.
sure you get closer to that. Make sure.
Yeah, you make sure?
Cover that part, yeah.
This episode brought to you by
So
Pete Hernandez.
he's actually known as Ted, Ted the Bear from the movie. He's
Nice.
foul mouth,
Yeah.
funny.
You got a bong in the car?
Haven't seen it, but he's got a lot
Oh,
of.
it's-
He keeps going out to the car to get cigars.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
I'll be right here. Hold on.
No, it's vaping now.
No, but he's actually
it's all-
done a great
it's all
job.
days.
Florida, as you know, South Florida, actually, Miami area is really tough.
Right.
It's taken us, now we're starting to, really see a lot of movement. There are a lot of stores there that are actually carrying our product and doing
Right.
extremely well. But, they always say the farther you go up north is the farther the more you go south in the U.S.
That's true, and you're right on the cusp here.
Yeah.
Right.
That is very true. Now, but you're also a member of the Fuck That Guy, right?
I am.
You are a member
Wow.
of Fuck That Guy.
Boy, that travels far, yeah. It's a
Speaking
fun-
of South Florida, you want to talk Caribbean cigars?
It's a little group of guys that gets together at a local boutique shop, and
Caribbean. Yeah, you got to give Alan the love that he
Absolutely,
deserves.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Alan's one of my dear friends and attorney and good customer. We knock it out right there. He's a great guy, and we get together there. If you're in the industry and you think you've been spoken about, you've definitely been spoken about. So it's a great group, and it's available to anyone. You just any given day, you pop on in. You never know who's going to be there. And some guys, as soon as they walk in, everyone just shuts up.
So to kind of get your opinion, who's really in charge? Who's like the head of the FTG?
Hector.
Hector is in charge
Hector-
of Espinosa Cigars.
Yeah, of Espinosa Cigars.
Okay.
Hector, Mr. Warmth himself.
Mr.
Oh,
Warmth.
dude, he's just brutal. Jack Tarano is also a participant.
See, that was kind of where I wanted to see who of those two.
Those two, who was in charge?
Well, Hector's there daily.
Right.
Jack Tarano only makes special guest appearances.
Yeah, now he's flying around all over the place and
Right,
like a fucking maniac.
But they're both, brutal. I'm an easy target, so I keep my mouth shut most of the time. I do sling some fastballs, but I make sure that I'm in the right company.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, you know?
Drop a couple zingers.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, you know?
I'll
make sure you're not there when I talk about you.
I find that hard to believe. All right, so what do you got coming out? Are you making anything new for the show? Or
Well, actually, we're coming out. As you know, probably the best-selling wrapper in the country is Connecticut.
Right.
And actually, we're doing our Connecticut line, which is I think is probably something that we're really looking. We did a soft launch with 4 sizes.
Right.
We have a small Perfecto. We have a Robusto, a Toro, and a Churchill, a 52 by 7, which is not actually a kind of a traditional Churchill, because our Cuban Churchill is 48 by 7, but the industry has accepted a Churchill, which is a 52 by 7. I think is more the norm now for golfers and the industry. So we went that way, and we did a soft launch after many of the guys that went to the factory trips in February. And it's been really successful in the stores, where they're already up to 3 orders, and
That's really good.
which is really good. And and now this is going to be one of the things that we're launching at the trade show. We're also going to be on the Reserva side, which is all our Corojo leaf high primings. We have the Reserva Robusto that came out last year, but now we're coming out with a Toro. That MSRP is at 14, and the Robusto already is out in the market at 12. This is an allocation product. It is very limited production, and it's something that is doing extremely well. We're very happy because every time there's a lot of posting that goes on Instagram, and the Connecticut and all the Aladino lines is very popular in post, but the Reserva seems to take it to the next level.
All right, so how many cigars are you producing now annually? Rough numbers.
Well, rough numbers. We're still a very small operation.
Of course, I mean, you've only been
we're
doing
just
it a couple of
starting,
years.
but we roll ahead of time, so we'll have it. But I would say we're probably between 500,000 and 600,000.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
So how many cigars are you looking at? Like, where's your cap?
I think today in the industry, it has to be. A lot of people. The Camacho days of doing millions of cigars, or doing over 15 million cigars. In my perspective, is. We don't want to do that.
Right. I mean, you lose your quality for one falls off, in my opinion.
And with the prices of cigars today, it's just the amount of resources that takes to run an operation like that is really not feasible. So I would say if you're rolling between 3 and 7 million or 6 million, you should be pretty solid.
So you want to kind of taper off around 6 million.
Yeah, but that probably includes some private label, not too many.
Right.
Very specific private labels that we'll be doing in the future. But tapering off at that I think is something that you need to have control what your controlled growth.
Right. So you obviously have the tobacco for that type of stuff, because it's been 6 or 7 years of you guys just growing and not making cigars, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like the enough people in Honduras to handle that production, or would you scale it?
You have to
grow?
remember, Honduras is variable. I would probably say, and I'm going to be a little bit biased in this, but it's probably the truth. I would say Honduras, in quality of manufacturing, as dexterity for manufacturing cigars, I would say is probably the best country in labor.
Right.
And during the boom, Honduras was the leader during the boom in manufacturing cigars. Above, DR had better numbers. Now, now Nicaragua is taking the lead. But the government has been extremely supportive, and Honduras also salary-wise is probably 3 times as more expensive than Nicaragua.
No shit.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. So how many reps do you have across the nation?
Well, we have 9 reps. They're all independent.
Okay.
And
beating to my next question.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all independent. Yeah.
Are any of them difficult?
Every rep is got their own personality,
Right.
and every personality is unique to their clientele.
Right.
So and that happens in anything that you do in sales. Everybody's got their own personality, and they're successful at it, and you got to respect that.
Pete, shut the fuck up, man. Seriously.
Well, I'm waiting to jump in. I think what people are going to be more interested in is what makes Aladino Cigars different from
Right.
everything else. One of the things that intrigued me is that this corojo that they grow. You know, everyone's used to growing or smoking a Corojo 98, Corojo 99, Corojo 2000, and the reason for that in the 90s there was an outbreak of mold in Cuba, and it killed all their crops. So they created this hybridized plant, which is still great tobacco, but it grows much taller. It also is very resistant. So that's what everyone uses, because if you grow tobacco, that's what you want. You want better yields. You want tobacco that's not going to get sick, and
good job.
The good thing is you mute it.
Right, that was a good thing. Good thing I
Glad to silence that.
Yeah, I'm real tech savvy.
He probably just answered and doesn't know.
So these cigars, for example, the Corojo, the standard Aladino, it all comes from one plant. So it's to wrapper binder filler, this authentic seed Corojo from 1960. The flavor is just totally different.
Really want to place an order.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, that wasn't an order. That wasn't an order. And
Hector heard him talking
believe
about
me, I would have put the phone. I would have. Hold on.
Take an order.
It's summertime in Florida, pal. I'm taking every order I can. Right? So the flavor is just very different.
Right.
You like it or don't like it, I think it's amazing. It's a very, ironically enough, they just rated it really high in Cigars Aficionado, and they used a phrase that was really, it has warm Mediterranean spices. And I'm not the guy that usually goes that route with different, but the flavors it does have spice, but it's not a pepper spice. It's more of a cinnamon. It's more of a warm, maybe I don't want to say Christmas spice, but that's what it's more like. It's very aromatic. It's very clean on the palate, easy to smoke. People always ask me, how's the draw? Well, every cigar should draw well.
Right.
But the construction is second
Well,
to
at least
none.
97% of them.
Right. And this, the construction is second to none. Then the Reserva, it's the same tobacco again.
Right.
The original is from the half of the plant down. And
Mid primings.
Mid primings. And in the middle of the Reserva is from the middle of the plant up, where the wrapper is the Corona leaf, which is not very common. A lot of guys use the Corona leaf, which is ligero, on the inside of the cigar. So lots of times that's why you get the cone shaped, because it's what burns the slowest.
Right.
And on that cigar, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's a medium bodied, tastes medium bodied, but it's full, medium to full on the heavy side. It's got great spice. It's got a great draw. It's got great flavor. It's, I can't say enough about it. And it all comes from one plant.
Do you think Pete knows what the fuck he's talking about now?
Sounds like
Or
he does. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
he's
just been
bullshit.
traveling with him for a
That's
long
what he's
time.
told me anyway. That's what
Yeah.
he told me it was. So,
They practice in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's take this.
'Cause that's not normally Pete's spiel. It's like, buy this.
Right.
Well,
so
saying a little bit about the Aladino blend, the regular Aladino 100% Corojo.
Because he fucked it up.
One of the things that my dad really kind of likes. My dad is a medium bodied smoker, like
Right.
I am. I'm a medium bodied smoker, but he likes tons of flavor.
Right.
So the way we have created Aladino is a medium body, full flavor cigar. So if you're a mild to medium smoker, you could actually smoke that all day, as many cigars as you want, without really, taking you over the edge or getting a buzz. But if you're also a full cigar smoker, it's got so much flavor, so much intensity and richness of flavor that a full-bodied smoker could also smoke it. So it's very unique. It's got that uniqueness that it can serve both types of smokers.
Okay. So getting back to so you handle all the reps?
Yes,
You're the guy.
Yeah. We're a three-man team, so
Right.
it works.
So what are like some of the other challenges that you have as far as reps? Because like for me, that's kind of an intriguing part. I don't really get to talk to a lot of people that have.
Well, in the industry, independent reps is very special because
Right.
at
Oh,
the
yeah,
end of
they're special, right?
because you need to understand the way I look at them. They're your business partner.
Of course.
It's a very simple reason. As they sell, everybody makes money. Not only the store,
Right.
but also the manufacturer by him. So it's very important, to give them the respect that you want. But
Right.
also, you also have to evaluate how big the territory is, how many brands that they have, and then if they're also getting the service that the stores require.
Right.
So that's something that as we go on, we keep on learning what are the fallouts or the challenges that an independent rep might have.
Right. So excluding Pete, because he's in the room. who's your favorite rep?
I would say everybody's got a different personality, and I get along extremely well with everybody. There's no favorites. There's some that you make more
can't pick your
business
favorite
with,
kid type
and
thing.
the more business you do. Remember, the more business that you do, is the better relation. No, relationships are separate from
Independent.
business. They're
Such a political answer.
Well,
but
relationships are independent,
it is
you
the
know.
truth. It is the
I mean,
truth.
you deal with a bunch of reps.
Yeah.
And not always your favorite's the one you buy the most from.
Yeah, I know, but Jeff Groover's my favorite. Hands down.
No, Jeff's a great guy.
No, just, what's really cool about you is I get to fuck with you a lot. You know what I mean? We have a good relationship.
Right, absolutely.
So, I appreciate that. You never. I'm sure that you get in the car and like, this guy's a fucking piece of shit.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm okay with it.
Sits out in the car before he comes in.
You're a good egg.
Gonna
you know what
psych
I mean?
himself up before he can come in.
Yeah, he's like, bro, we're gonna go in here.
We're gonna go in,
This
they're gonna
fucking
give us
guy's
full
gonna
shit.
break my
No,
fucking balls.
No. Actually, this is again, this is one of my favorite stops. Not where I make the most money, but it's definitely one of my favorite stops. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen you guys grow, and you guys have done a great job here. This is I love the way you and your brother interact, the way how you divide the responsibilities, and I enjoy you independently. It's
Right.
I love hanging. I love talking to you.
Yeah, of course, man.
Of course. I can't tell you how many calls I made and walked away with nothing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. He's not lying. You want to ask the questions?
Yeah, you want to take a break real quick first, and then we'll come back?
Sure.
All right. All right, we're back.
There you
Wow.
go. What a great
Maybe
commercial.
we didn't even leave.
It's a commercial of nothing.
We asking Pete or
We can't ask.
No, can't ask Pete. We'll save him for next time.
Like Pete, in all honesty, Pete has a great story. Pete's been in the industry for a really long time, and you deserve your own podcast. So we got to get you down here. Hopefully we'll see you again before December, and when we do, we'll slide you in. That was a little jab. You're welcome. Just ask.
Okay, we have 5 questions we ask everybody who comes in and sits down with us.
And neither one of them listen to the podcast, so they definitely don't know the questions.
Oh, that's good. Okay, first question. What's your favorite cigar?
I would probably say regular Aladino for me is
Not the Connecticut, the other one.
yeah. I would say it's because it hits all the points. Whether you're mild or you're full flavor, it's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite cigar that's not yours?
I like. Believe it or not, I don't smoke too many people's cigars, but I do smoke tatuaje. So
Yeah.
so I like the way he blends. I
Look at
mean,
that,
I think he's
double dip for
he's
you.
he's done a great job of marketing himself, and the way he handles the brand. I think is a model to follow.
Good, very good. All right, well, one person, living or dead, would you like to share a cigar with?
Living or dead to share a cigar with. I actually enjoy sharing and smoking cigars with my dad, especially when we go over blends, because he's got so much knowledge. And believe it or not, even though I smoked during my whole life, I've never been a constant smoker. But now that I'm more traveling, I get to smoke more, and I'm able to enjoy and try to find things that were him and I could identify, and I could get his feedback. So for me, that's the way to do it.
So before you jump to the next question, let me ask you, how old's your father?
My dad turned 81 this year.
Okay, and he runs everything down.
He runs everything.
So has the conversation ever happened where you talked about possibly having him pass the reins, or maybe does he have a number 2?
Well, one of the reasons I'm full time with him is part of handling and learning the whole process, because as he is, I'm also a farmer. Him and I are I like more the farm than traveling and going from being on the road constantly and doing that. I enjoy more the farming than the sales.
And dealing
part.
with the sales reps.
But at the end of the day, you need to have the pool of cigars so you could grow tobacco and sell cigars.
Right.
So you can't have growing of tobacco unless you have the sales part in the sales
Right,
of the
exactly.
cigars.
You got to understand the full channel. I get that for sure.
Yeah.
So eventually, you think that you'd be the guy that would
I think the way is being set up is going to be a transition where maybe 50% of the time I'm going to be there and 50% of the time I'm going to be here. So
Right.
it's something that I have to deal with, and it's something that is, because there's a lot of people that have been with us for many, many years. I mean, sons, grandsons are now working with us, and for us it's very important to also do well in the community that we support.
Well, you're definitely gonna need a number 2 there that's there all the time though. Like a
Yeah,
guy
absolutely. But we're not there yet. I think in the
Right.
next year or two, I think we'll be there.
Is your dad gonna have a hard time? We're like, hey, you know,
We always have a
take
hard
away from
time.
him.
Yeah, he's very protective of his territory.
right?
Yeah,
That'll be a good challenge.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, good.
All
Sorry.
right. What one fictitious person would you like to share a cigar with?
Fictitious person.
Somebody from a book, a movie. We've had cartoon characters.
We've had people on restaurants.
People on signs. I was about to say that too.
You could ask for the fifth. I haven't thought of anybody yet. Can you go back to that one? It's got to be
Yeah,
in
well,
order.
we can circle back.
No, we can circle. Yeah, we can circle back. What's the best piece of advice anyone ever gave you?
If you don't have anything good to say about anybody, keep your mouth shut.
Whoa, we're closing. Fuck that guy, bro. You're out. You're fucking out. Sit down.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's always to come out and always say the good qualities that everybody has, because
Yeah.
everybody's got good qualities. Anybody that's in an industry and is putting out a product, they believe is the best product that they're coming out with.
Right.
So
Right,
the last
yeah.
thing you want to do, you don't
Don't want to knock somebody.
Yeah,
But you gotta
Not
break a
that,
guy's
yeah.
balls every
Yeah.
once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you could do that joking around. But
Yeah,
you know,
there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it with class.
He's
Right.
constantly breaking my balls. Constantly breaking my balls. Once we were in the car, and I don't remember, I think I was going in reverse. I had a phone going, I had some shit going on, and and I went, stop! I was right on the edge, stop! Give me a... Yeah, but he's a great guy to banter with. Yeah.
You know, talking about that, I guess the guy I really wanted to smoke a cigar with, but I get to do it in real person, is Ted. Ted the Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Foul mouth, tells you how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have him on your side, he'll tell you a good story like he does. So I think Ted the Bear from the movie is the ficticious character I would like to
Oh,
smoke
very
a cigar
good.
with.
Very cool.
Wow, that's very cool.
That's nice. You are number 1.
I told
Look
you.
at that.
I told
You are the favorite.
you know?
The last question is just, you want to give out any social media or email or contact?
Oh, absolutely. Our social medias, I think, is hashtag JRE Tobacco. And you know, we're starting there. We're almost getting to 13,000. So
Oh,
I need a
very
couple more. I think
At
like
Jerry.
10 more to get at Jerry. And then our website is www.jerry.com. And we're always here to help and answer any questions. So I'm always very accessible to people that want to contact us.
I mean, I can attest to that. I got to give you credit for that because, I'm a big believer in reaching out to people if I haven't spoken to somebody in a while, and I'll throw out a text and say, hey, man, how are you? And he's like, hey, Mike, what's going on? How are things? Which is awesome. It doesn't happen a lot in the industry. And, I appreciate that as a store owner for sure,
Thank you. I really appreciate that too. And also for you reaching out. Like I
of
said,
course.
anytime.
I like your cigars.
Yeah, thank you.
I just like to watch him sweat a little bit before I fucking buy him.
Oh, he's got to earn it.
Yeah.
See what he can do,
Well, when I always say I'm coming with Justo, they usually open the doors. If I say I'm coming by
Son of a
myself,
bitch.
I'm going to be out of town.
We're not available.
yeah.
Quick, pizza time. Everybody down behind the counter.
So like
Got a cold.
this motherfucker if he calls me, like he called me a couple days ago, right? And you got IPCPR coming up, so I have to call all the accounts. I'm just a one-man show, right? So I got like a 10-minute window to eat fucking lunch. So I'm fucking eating as fast as I possibly can. My phone rings, Pete Hernandez. I'm like, fuck, I gotta eat this sandwich. I'm not gonna answer the phone. So it rings.
Plus, Pete already ate.
Right, So it's all keto, so it's just meat. I don't answer, right? Fucking 2 seconds later, shop starts ringing, phone starts ringing, and then all of a sudden one of the employees, hey, Peter Hernandez on the phone. I'm like, motherfuck. I was like, I just fucking.
I was trying to avoid him, but you cannot. That's Ted.
Right. I won't. I mean, I don't. If I'm busy, I'll call you right back.
Right.
Obviously, but I appreciate the the fucking.
Well, if I don't call you while I've got you in my sights,
That's
and
it.
I'll just move on.
Yeah,
and
move on
it
to the
might be a
next
couple
guy.
days.
That's hard too.
Right.
I totally understand that. As far as calling accounts, if they say, hey, call back in fucking 3 hours. Like, okay. Well, then you start moving down the list. You forget about that.
3 hours has gone by and it's the next day.
You set a fucking timer. It doesn't matter.
Right.
The timer goes off when you're in a
You know what,
conversation.
and there are guys that I know I can relentlessly call.
Yeah.
And I know that you're eventually going to answer the phone for more than one reason. You'll either answer finally to answer the phone and get
Right.
rid of me, or because we've always got something funny to say to you. I'm always going to break your balls or say something.
Right.
And it's always going to be an interesting conversation. You don't have to buy anything. It's always,
true.
you know.
That is very true.
You know, and you got to keep that relationship. That's really a big part of it. Is you got to keep the relationship.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if you know, I'll think he'll ask me, have you spoken to someone? Man, I called that guy 3 days ago. He didn't answer the phone. All right, and then now I'm going to get you.
Right.
Now you're going to answer the phone. And so eventually I get the phone call, and it's just getting it out of the way, staying
Right.
in your mind. You got to stay fresh in people's mind. That's in this industry. You can't just work the phone. You've got to show up at the store. But it's a combination of using the 5 different tools you have, which is text and email and phone calls and social media. And you're fighting for shelf space.
Right.
At the end of
Yeah.
the day, you're fighting for shelf space. And if you become irrelevant in someone's humidor, that's what happens. Your product gets moved over. They buy other things. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of things out there that when I walk into a store and I see it on the shelf, and I knew my turn was next, and that guy's cigars are in, I feel he's taking up my space.
Like,
Right.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, it's my space. I've been here long enough. I've been doing this long enough. I carry good brands. There's no reason why you should have that guy's product when you should have mine.
Right.
Again, everyone deserves a chance, but that's the way I feel.
After
In my
you-
head, that's how I see it.
Right.
Right.
I get it.
Wrong or right, but
Hey, you've been in the game long enough. You have your own opinions.
right,
You know?
right,
It's totally understandable.
right.
Fucking get it. So,
And
Sorry about
so,
that.
you're good.
No, you're fine.
so what else can I?
He was taking all the air anyway, so.
Right, what else do you want to know? About the farm. Do you have any questions? What do you do in your life, Mike? Let me ask you.
Me?
Buddy. Yeah. And how do you run your distribution?
How do I run my distribution? I call people.
You call people.
I send emails.
Right.
Social media.
Yeah, promote via
Emails,
social media.
everything.
Like, I mean, I have a different mindset and outlook towards all of it. Like, I don't believe, and it's a constant battle in my head too, because as a retailer, I'm like, well, if I don't see this rep, it's hard to continue to engage on the product, right? But with that being said, I also have my own focal points, right? I have my own brands. I rep my own brands, as well as, Roma's kind of my lineage. So, like, they're a main hub for me. Those guys have never fucking given me a hard time for anything. They've always had my back. So, to deviate from that is difficult. So I believe in it, but, I also believe in building a brand via social media, being in contact with people, but not necessarily being in their face. Technology is there enough where you can just FaceTime a motherfucker and shoot the shit for 20 minutes and not have to drive there, right? This year I haven't been on the road really at all. It just hasn't really been in the cards. It has to kind of outweigh the cost. Has to justify, right? I mean, because you get on a plane, you rent a car, hotels, food. I mean, you're going to drop $3,500 easy on the trip alone if you have to leave the state, right? So you got to offset that with events, and if you don't have product, or if you don't slate the events, or shit happens with the retailer says they're going to do an event, and then all of a sudden they back out, it makes it difficult. So my outlook and my mindset towards that is definitely different. Now, I'm also not looking to produce and sell 5 or 6 million cigars a year. I mean, if I ever got to a point where I was producing and selling, 700,000 to $1 million, I'm fucking golden, right?
Right.
Because my overhead is super lean.
So, looking at it as a retailer,
Yes.
what is it that you put the most weight on when you take on a brand? Are you looking at the blend? Are you looking at how you like the company? Or are you looking at the monetization of it? The return?
The return doesn't really bother me. I don't even think about that. To be totally honest, first thing is the cigar's got to taste good, right?
Of course.
I think there's a lot of people will say that it's a great time to smoke cigars, and yeah, they are right. But there's a lot of bullshit out there. There are a lot of guys that don't have factories or don't have access to great tobacco, and they're hooking up with so and so who's giving them shit that they have a lot of, and they're getting a light cigar, not in flavor but in overall grams, that they're paying a premium for, that doesn't really taste good. That happens a lot. So I look for, obviously, flavor profile. I look for who I have to fuck with as far as the rep or the owners of the company, and then I also consider the branding, the overall branding aspect, and what they look to do to promote, not only by coming into the stores, but more on a national level as well. Those things are my factors.
I find that one of my biggest obstacles is no longer a viable reason. For example, I get a lot, well, no one's asked for it.
Right.
And I find that today's consumer has a broad rotation, let's say.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. They'll have 6, 7, 8 cigars in that rotation. So they'll walk into your humidor, and it's hard. They'd be hard-pressed not to find something they can smoke. So they won't ask for anything.
I mean, to be honest, I've used that cop-out. It's just a cop-out.
What do you mean?
Nobody's asking for it.
Right.
That's just complete bullshit. Because at the end of the day, my consumers should trust in what I'm going to say, hey, you should smoke, right? Hey, you should smoke this. And they'll say, okay, you like this, you're going to like this, right? That is a big aspect for retailers, and that's what a lot of retailers should be doing. You don't have that a lot. A lot of retailers just check the fuck out. They're either retired guys or they try to be youngster know-it-alls that, really don't give a fuck. It's trying to get a paycheck or, think that because they're in the cigar industry, they can be egotistical. That happens a lot in the industry.
Well, and I think that's very important. If you're going to work with somebody in the store, well, what happens is you build up a partnership,
Right.
Of not only building the brand but also building the shop.
Right.
And that's where I think where you were just mentioning is extremely important.
Well, here it's really a partnership.
Because what you
Yeah.
need to do is, as long as the manufacturer is behind you, you will put your store behind it.
Right.
And
Right.
if you both grow, it's a win-win. The last thing you want to do is not have anybody that checks in and see, hey, how is everything's going? Or if you got stuck with a product, what do we need to do to move it?
Right.
And that's where, because, I've mentioned to you before, there are some smaller stores in your territory that are doing fantastic numbers.
Right.
And the big elephants in that are not moving it.
Right.
So, you need to evaluate who gets behind your brand, and those are the guys you really need to support.
Yeah. I mean, I look at guys like HVC. I look at guys like, like you, and I say, all right, they got great cigars,
We get a little feedback
So-
every once in a while. Some reason that just fixes it like that.
Okay.
So then so at that point, then I work on integrating those companies into the shop. Just that simple,
When I love to work the humidor, love talking to the consumer.
Right.
I let very few of them get away from me. You've got to tell me that you're not interested.
Right.
I'm not interested. No, I know what I like, and then I'm not going to mess with you. Before I'm a cigar rep or enthusiast, I'm an ambassador to this thing of ours.
Right.
And the most important thing for me is for a guy to enjoy his experience.
Right.
And the last thing I want to do is be a jerk. You don't want to
Sometimes. Push him into smoking something he's not going to like.
Exactly.
That does nobody
right.
any
If a
good.
guy tells me I don't sell a lot of mild cigars. Now I have the Aladino Connecticut. I have a few cigars that are Connecticut. I don't typically smoke them. If it's in the store, I'll move them towards that. But if a guy
Right.
if a guy tells me no, I like an infused cigar, have at it. I don't have anything infused. I'll ask him sometimes, are you interested in trying something that tastes like tobacco?
Right.
Do you want to move off? You want to move off? Because I think that, flavored cigars or infused cigars have played a big part in our industry. I'll be sorry to see it go. I think that, that has its
go?
place. I think there's a very good chance it's going to go. I think it's a very good chance it's going to
Yeah.
go. And I'll be sorry to see it go because I know that a lot of guys are entered this because of, infused cigars.
It'll hurt this industry.
I think so. I
Big
think
time.
so. I think maybe some guys will now smoke because we have a beautiful sweet tip cigar.
Here's a
even
parlay.
I smoke it. No,
Right.
I'm not even gonna. The Tatiscan, Connecticut, and the Tatiscan Habano.
So it's a sugar tip.
The sugar, yeah.
So you saw a guy that was smoking an infused cigar, you're not going to say, hey, you should try this?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. If we have it in the store, absolutely. But one of the things that it bothers me when I'm in a store is when the tobacconist says, if you need anything, let me know.
Right.
Listen, you need to engage that customer and you need to guide them into, and then try to upsell them.
Right.
A guy's not going to try anything new if you don't offer it to him.
So here's what I've learned over 9 years of experience is I like to make the intro. Hey, if you need anything, let me know. And then you got to give them time. Because what happens is it's kind of a catch-22. You have some of those consumers that, especially the older guys, that are set in their ways. They don't want to be fucked with. They don't want you asking them. So if they're in and out in less than 45 seconds in that humidor, you don't talk to them. You ring them up. have a nice day, thank you very much. Because if you do touch them, you're going to piss them off. Now, if they're lingering in the humidor, you got to circle in, right? That's just how our method. That's what I think works the best, because I've seen it go the other way where we're on top of them. They're like, no, I don't need fucking help. Leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
I just want my Monte Cristo White. Leave me, fuck off. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. I'm not trying to steal anything. It's like, holy shit, man. I'm here to help you. So you got to
They're set in their ways.
Yeah, you got to kind of give those guys that leeway.
Right.
Right. I don't know. I just kind of learned that you can't deal in absolutes. Right.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. Right. So, I feel that like that 45-second window, 30 to 45 seconds of a guy in the humidor, giving them that time, it kind of indicates if they know what they want and they're going to be in and out, or two, if they're interested in trying something else, or, they're just kind of curious and walking around. So,
If I approach you in the humidor, feel free to tell me to leave you alone. But I'm probably not. I'm the guy who's going to come at you right from the get. I'm going to give you a target to hit. I'm going to introduce myself. I take ownership of that humidor.
Right.
And then I ask you, what are you smoking today?
and then you're going to say, that's shit.
And you know, no, I would never. Well,
No, he just takes the
I would
cigar away and
never-
throws them away.
Takes them
That's
away.
all he does.
All right.
Give me those. Those are terrible.
I have been a little bit sometimes,
Aggressive.
It all
A little bit
depends,
aggressive.
It's
Right.
late in the evening, a little.
When a guy
if you're
told me
into
to
a cup,
sit-
you know
Six
what I mean?
martinis.
Towards the end of the day.
Right, it's like,
Well, I will tell you this. When a guy tells me he wants, lots of times when someone says that they want a mild cigar, that's not what they mean. They mean smooth. Because you ask them, so what do you typically smoke?
They don't want bitter.
Well, right. They'll say the name of a cigar that's everything but mild.
Right.
So all of a sudden, what you like is, you like a smooth cigar.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Or I ask them, a guy who's been smoking, for lack of a better term, I'm not throwing these guys out there, Macanudo, let's say.
Right.
That's an easy target, right?
Right.
So I'll ask them, what do you drink with that? Or what do you drink? And I try to find out what your palate is like. Well, do you like spicy food? Do you like bourbon? Do you like scotch? A lot of guys drink bourbon and scotch and are smoking Macanudos, and they smoke Macanudos. They pronounce it Macadudos because that's what their father smoked, or that's what their grandfather smoked. That's the name that they're used to hearing.
Right.
But not necessarily because that's what they like. They've been on a golf course, and those guys at golf lots of times will have their cigars and the cigars that they hand out.
Right.
And you've been given a cigar that hits you in the back of the throat, that is aggressive, that isn't aged, that and that's your impression of what a cigar is. Oh, that's a strong cigar. That's a bad cigar. That's
Right.
not a strong. That's a bad cigar. So I have a way of telling them. I usually tell them, listen, you're smoking way beneath your weight class.
Right.
And they'll wonder, what do you mean? Well, once you take a sip of that scotch and you're smoking that cigar, you're not going to taste the smoke anymore. So the idea is to smoke something that's going to stand up to whatever you're drinking. So I try to navigate then I get their attention. And then I'm able to make a recommendation based on what I think their palate is going to enjoy. Because at the end of the day, I want them to enjoy the cigar.
Right.
You try to win as many hearts and minds as you can when you're in the humidor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's a lot of fun. I love what I do.
Right.
And that's probably my favorite part of my job is engaging the consumer and finding out what they smoke and
I'm laughing.
and telling people to go fuck themselves. All right, that's the answer you guys want, right? Listen, I haven't told anyone to go fuck themselves that didn't have it coming. All right, that's it.
Fair enough. So what do you say? Is that how we're good here? Or
Oh yeah, we're good. It's either break or
do you want
good.
to? What's that?
It's either take another break or we're good.
You want to do a quick update on stuff before we?
I didn't bring anything. Nope. We just
You
took
want
from
to?
the
Well, we
other
just
day.
made these shirts.
You can plug your shirts, certainly.
We made
Stand-up
these
show
shirts. You wanted to give away a shirt?
Sure.
Okay, so then why don't you add how you're going to give away the shirt
I
at
don't
the
know.
end?
Oh, okay. Just put it on extra.
Yeah, link it
okay.
in.
I can do that.
Yep. New post on
You
your
want to
shirts.
show the back of the shirt?
Look.
Anybody who hasn't seen it, you want to flex?
It's got the war bear.
The War Bear.
Hope you didn't see my ass crack, but
Vote.
if
Yeah,
you
you
did,
need
sorry.
to go a size bigger. I think you need to go a little.
You like that?
You need to go a little bigger.
Yeah, Pete said, "Hey, you're looking good, man." I said, "Yeah, smaller shirts."
Not bad.
That's
Right?
the trick,
Works-
Pete.
works
Smaller
well.
shirts.
Yeah, I'm not wearing small shirts.
There you go. Just
I'm
break it
not doing
down.
it.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Well, yeah, you're losing weight. Yeah.
Right. Right. I have like 3 levels of shirts. Right now I'm at medium to smaller stuff.
Yeah?
I have the bigger stuff in another closet. So that's kind of
Taper up.
Well, you know the way it works. For those of you who've known me for years, you try to lose it as fast as you can before the trade show,
Right.
And then gain it back as slow as you can.
Right.
That's really the cycle.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, like I float between the large and the XLs.
Right.
Depends upon the day.
Right.
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 Is what it is.
This was great, man. I wonder how many guys are watching. Why
Well,
don't
it's
we,
not live. It's taped.
How many guys are?
So it'll go up next Tuesday. Our last video had
Are
over
you going to
2,000
send me a link
views.
so I can?
Yeah.
Certainly will.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll tag you guys in it when we put it up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, hey, we appreciate you coming
Yes,
out.
thank you
and,
very much.
Thank you so much for the time. Really nice over here. A beautiful store, a beautiful location, and great people. Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Boom.
Hey, it's Mike too. Excuse where I'm doing this from, but we're in the process of moving the studio for the third time. Anyway, here is the super secret contest. You will win an official Postania War Bear shirt. Here's what you have to do. You've obviously seen the video now. You have to subscribe to a Cigar Hustlers podcast on YouTube, and then you have to comment below #WarBear. We will choose a winner from all the entries, and we will put it up next week at the end of the next video. Thank you very much. Good luck, everybody.